Hello?
Hey people, I'm Terry Bluez and I want to welcome you to Black Gift TV. Make sure you subscribe to the channel by clicking the icon below. Black Gift TV is your one-stop shop for colored content. It is the official channel for the Four Color Man podcast and the Dean's List streaming series. You also find music, stand-up comedy, and short film works. And if you like the content, make sure you visit www.blackgiftcreative.com, the official sponsor for the Four Color Man podcast merch. Now, let's start the show.
You are now about to witness the strength of street knowledge.
Hey, what's going on, people? Welcome back to the Four Color Man podcast, Kings Building Kings through Candid Conversation. And today we got a very special guest. And like I said before, this podcast is not exclusive to just black men. Men of color, we all face the same issues as minorities in this country, dealing with our identity, race, and our masculinity, right? So today we got a very special guest because I mentioned this guy on the podcast before. He is actually one of my early mentors. You know, he kind of put me on to a lot of things, man. I want to put some respect on his name. Let's give it up for Dr. Joey Lopez. What's going on, man?
Hey, what's up, man? How you been, Terry?
Good, man. First of all, I want to appreciate you for carving out the time to come on to the show. Welcome to my animated studio.
Nice. Yeah, I like being here.
I'm glad to have you.
I like your curtains.
So first and foremost, man, this guy right here, he is a professor. He's one of my early mentors, like I said before. When I was getting my degree at UIW, I think I had him like every semester for at least 2 classes. You know what I mean? So he taught me a lot. Right now, he's a professor at Texas A&M University, I believe, right?
Yeah, in College Station.
In College Station, right? But go
It's
ahead,
all
man.
Good, man. Well, no, man. So I've been here for a semester. I'm like a hired gun at this point. I go to where I am called. And after putting in 40 job applications last year, I landed a gig and ended up out here. And evidently the last guy they had was a little interesting. So they were just hoping I wasn't crazy. And I don't know. The jury's still out on that one. But they definitely got the Joey experience so far. And being here at College Station is a trip. It's another world, you know? I mean, this is where a lot of the rural kids come, a lot of Houston people come. And so it just has a whole different feel, a whole different fez.
Yeah, it's like, I don't think people really understand this, but A&M stands for agricultural and mechanical.
Yeah.
So they do a lot of like farming or like 4-H type stuff down there.
Yeah, like there's a communications department which I'm in, but there's like also an agriculture communications department, and they have like a TV station. You know,
I think I applied for that shit.
You probably did.
Yeah, I seen that job posted. I'm not gonna. I seen that job posted.
Hey man, if we cross reference what we apply to, there's probably a lot of cross pollination going on.
I know that struggle of sending out X amount of freaking job applications. And here's the thing, right? People don't understand this. In higher education, when you apply to be a professor, it's not like applying for a job. You need a CV, a curriculum vitae, which is a super extended resume, your transcripts, a cover letter. Not only a cover letter, also a teaching philosophy. People
a
want
research philosophy.
All kinds of stuff. So
they want work samples. They want student work samples. They want student teacher surveys.
And your packet is like 20 documents thick. And imagine having to do that 40, 50 times.
I was filling them out in my sleep by the end of at the end of the year, man. I just had a whole document template set up because it was just over the top. Like I would like literally find a job posting and in like 30 minutes I'd have it done, which, you know, back in the day would take me like half a day.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it definitely kept me real, you know. Having become an associate professor and not getting tenure at my university, you know, that was tough. And it definitely made getting another job that much tougher because the first thing they want to ask you is like, how did you become an associate professor and not get tenure? Like, are you crazy? You know?
Wow.
Because I don't know if you know this, but not getting tenure but becoming promoted is like a really like rare thing. It means that you did something wrong. It means that somehow you did everything right and this institution is saying we don't want you here. And so I had to literally like just flat out tell my story and say, hey, like my university shot and killed one of my best students 4 times in the back and once through the eye. And they would just look at me like, damn.
Yo, and that shit was wild, son. Now, I don't want to get into that yet.
Yeah,
I don't want to get into that yet. But I do want to.
Like,
I do want to get into that.
But that's real talk, man. Like
Yeah.
I didn't want to get into that yet either as I put these job apps out. But I literally had to be very forthright about that occurrence. I will come back to it. But just so you know, like that's that like your reaction. I'm like, hey, hold on. Like that's what I was, you know, that's what drove people away when I was putting all these applications in. It was, man, it was detrimental. That's why I was just like, man, I got to put so many sticks into so many fires because it's going to take a couple of people really reading into this. And dude, when they would call, like every call I got, I ended up getting on-site interviews with. Because as soon as they heard like me, they were like, oh, okay, this person's not crazy.
Yeah.
You know, this is what's going on. Anyways, yeah, dude, it's been a journey to get here.
Yeah, and I want to get into that, right? So let's back up a little bit, right?
Okay.
So you're a professor at A&M now. You were my professor at UIW.
Right.
Tell the people what you teach, what your degree's in, and yeah, what you actually teach.
Yeah, well, you know, I grew up in San Antonio, Texas, right? And I went to inner city school, and I wasn't considered smart. Okay, so if you looked at like my standardized test scores when I was in elementary school and stuff like that, it looked like, you know, as a score, top scores were 40s, you know, because like I'd make like 35s and it was out of 100, you know. So it wasn't like people were going like, that kid's going somewhere, you know. And so when I was in high school, man, like it really took a certain kind of teacher to see talent in me. Not because I didn't have enthusiasm or that I was like a bad student. It was just that like I wasn't what people expected, you know? But I was fortunate. I had some of those teachers that really went out of their way. And the reason I bring that up to talk about, you know, how I started becoming a teacher is that was what, like, in the long run would end up being who I wanted to become, was like somebody that could have that kind of influence. And so, you know, I ended up going to this thing called Minorities Introduction to Engineering at UT Austin for a summer. It was like a week-long thing. And I didn't know it at the time, but like, you know, I got to see people that look like me. I got to see people that look like other minorities in powerful positions with powerful sway, and go to 3M, go to National Instruments, go to IBM, go to the laser labs on campus, you know, check out what people are doing in these cutting edge fields as minorities. And that just became a set expectation. Like I saw that and I could see, I was like, well, yeah, okay, that makes sense. Like, that's what people do, you know? But I didn't know at the time that that's not what most people get to experience, you know?
How old were you when you got to do that?
I was like 16, 17.
Okay, so that like you were in that high school age of like trying to figure out what you wanted to do.
Yeah. And I thought I wanted to be an engineer at the time. And so I thought I wanted to be a mechanical engineer. But I was also had like a whole other side of me because I really got into audio. And I was in this really weird situation with my family where my parents hadn't ever really been able to get out and do super well. They'd always tried to do that, but they ended up, just having so many problems. But like my last 2 years of high school, my other siblings had all graduated from high school. They were out, they were going to college. And so I just kind of ended up having this whole other experience with my parents. My dad's job changed, and they ended up having some extra change, And so I was able to like do recording engineering classes, and so I learned to become a recording engineer. And I started having like the benefit of kind of just being able to let them. They were able to give me some time, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so it truly was different. I was like a spoiled brat in many ways, but I didn't even know it at the time. I'm just real. You know what I mean? I'm not going to like sugarcoat that. Like I understand the privilege now. At the time, it just was what I was experiencing. But I ended up being able to get the opportunities to go to these camps, and the camps were free, by the way. I just found out about them. But that's kind of what changed me. And it gave me a trajectory to look at going to UT Austin. And I went to UT Austin, and I went to my mechanical engineering orientation. And it was like 95 white guys and like 5 women and me. and they said, this is going to be the hardest 4 years of your life. And my body just stood up and walked out of that place, man. It was like, no, I'm good. And I went over to radio, television, and film. Like literally went from one orientation to the other, and I walked into that orientation. It was just starting. They're like, "This is gonna be so much fun. Y'all are really gonna enjoy this major." And I knew my income was like going down the tubes. I could see like the worth of my degree just like taking. But I was like, man, this is where I need to be. It was like 60% women, 40% men. There were people of color. I was like, all right, like, let's see what's going on here. And again, like, I wasn't thinking of it that way, but like looking back, like I saw it reflexively, And so that's like, that's how I got into academia. And then from there, I ended up just getting into this really crazy program, studying under this really crazy professor named Sandy Stone, M to F transgendered woman who is one of the founders of transgender studies, but also was a recording engineer when she was younger and recorded like Jimi Hendrix and Jefferson Airplane and Crosby, Stills and Nash. And like after that, she worked with like lesbian separatist groups. And then she got her PhD in the history of consciousness at UC Santa Cruz under Donna Haraway, who's like this huge feminist. And so by the time she came to us, I mean, like it's funny because again, like I went into this program and that's just what the way was. That was normal to me. Mm-hmm. So when I was in this program, the motto was make stuff, take risks, and be awesome. And you just made projects. And what you probably don't even know, Terry, even though I told you lots of crazy stuff at UIW, is like, I mean, what we would do there was legitimately avant-garde. I mean, Sandy was known for going around and doing a presentation about like neurology and rethinking about phantom pain and phantom pleasure. And she did this performance where she would reassign her clit to her hand and masturbate in front of the audience. And I'm talking like hundreds of people all over the world, man. To get them to think about how we think about gender, how we think about sexuality, how we think about pain, how we think about disability. I mean, deep shit, man. Like deep shit.
Yo, that shit sounds wild.
Hello.